What if I told you that you've been playing Nita wrong this entire time? This video features the best tips and tricks to help you play the untamed child, Nita. Alright, so to start off this guide, let's go to talk about Nita's main attack, Rupture. Nita releases a shockwave that deals moderate damage and reloads very fast. It has moderate range and the shockwave is fairly wide. The attack pierces through enemies and is able to hit multiple enemies at the same time. Now, whenever you're using Nita's main attack, if you can try to position yourself between you and multiple targets, then I'd recommend doing that. Take advantage of this strategy when enemies gather close together to try and push together as a team, or they're just randomly bunched up together. Nita's reload speed is very fast, but you still want to be as efficient as possible with every bar of ammo. Now, one of the main positives to playing Nita in this meta and using walls to your advantage is peek shooting. Peek shooting is very good because if you want to maintain control wherever you are defending or you're trying to win your lane, peek shooting can be a viable strategy to help you lower the enemies down. It's pretty simple to peek shoot if you don't know how. Just start off by camping behind a wall, aim your main attack in the direction of the enemy, run parallel to the wall so your main attack goes past the wall, and then quickly run back behind cover before the enemies can hit you. I know a lot of you guys watching probably already know how to peek shoot, but you'd honestly be surprised how much people don't know how to do it correctly or how much people just don't know how to do it in general. Now, it's not going to be a perfect game every time. You're going to face people that can outrange you and deal more damage than you, so what do you do in this situation? Well, you gotta use walls and bushes to get closer to them. Sometimes with Nita's short attack range, it can be difficult to get within striking distance so you can actually hit the enemies. This is why I advise not to play Nita on open up maps and really use bushes to either sneak up onto the enemies or use walls to cause pressure. So when you're not playing against enemies that can outrange you or out DPS you, you gotta be laning against the short range brawlers that you definitely can outrange. This kind of rule goes for any brawler in the game, but it's extremely important for Nita. Since Nita is such a strong counter to brawlers like Brawl and Daryl, especially with her super plus her Fox for gadget, you need to always match up against brawlers you know you can beat. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there watching don't like to really manually aim. You guys would rather auto aim, but the positive thing with Nita is that since her attack range is so wide, then you can actually get away with auto aiming with her. With her very fast reload speed, good damage, and wide main attack radius, more times than not you will probably be able to get away with just spamming auto aim and being able to burst down the enemy rather quickly. But okay, that's gonna be it for Nita's main attack. Let's go to talk about her super overbearing. Nita summons a bear named Bruce that chases down and attacks the enemies. The bear walks towards the nearest enemy even if they're in a bush and attempts to hit them with quick melee attacks that deal low damage. Now, something that's pretty cool about Bruce is that he actually has more health than Nita, so you can use Bruce as a way to tank shots for you. With Bruce causing as a distraction to the enemies and he can absorb incoming fire, he will be able to protect Nita and give her a chance to deal damage. Also, when facing brawlers with non-piercing attacks, you want to place Bruce a few tiles in front of you to make them waste their ammo on Bruce, and during which you and Bruce can effectively try to finish off that enemy. Now, since Nita's super is a thrown projectile, it would actually spawn Bruce in a lot quicker if you just summon him right next to you. This is going to be more convenient when you're being attacked by a high bursting short range brawler, for example. Like, Bruce can tank damage for you and hopefully shield you long enough for you to either run away or attack the enemy back. Now, what's pretty cool about Nita's Bruce Bear in general is that when he's chasing down the enemy, he alone right there is causing the enemies to not heal up even if he's not attacking them. Think about it, the enemy will either have to attack so they can try to defeat Bruce, and if they do this, they're going to stop auto regeneration from kicking in, so they're not going to be healing whatsoever, or they're just going to have to straight up keep on running away for their life, or maybe Bruce can even hit them. But more times than not, the enemy is probably just going to opt to try and defeat Bruce as soon as they can. Now, as I stated in Nita's super description, something that Nita's bear can actually do is scout bushes for you. This is just an amazing feature about Bruce because this can help Nita and her teammates locate enemies hiding within bushes. Bruce can even surprise enemies if he is running through the bushes himself, so that can be an effective strategy too. Now, I did briefly talk about Nita's super being a thrown projectile, so if there are enemies trying to heal up or hide from you behind a wall, hey, just go ahead and throw Bruce over that wall. So if there's players on the other team that are trying to avoid you or they're playing throwers, then tossing Bruce over a wall can be an effective way to cause pressure. Remember now, Nita's bear has a very short attack range, so it is best if supported or used in an enclosed area where the enemy will be unable to get past the bear. Now, Bruce is not going to only be helpful for tanking shots for Nita. If you see that your teammate is struggling on another lane on your side, then go ahead and throw Bruce to support your teammate. Bruce can almost act like another teammate on your side sometimes. Even if he gets melted within a few seconds, he is still causing the enemies to waste their time and ammo to defeat him. You and your teammates can take advantage of that opportunity to push up the map. I mean, it's pretty effective. Now, I know that most of these tips that I talked about with Bruce is either with him tanking shots for you or him just basically sacrificing his life for you, but you still want to be protecting him when you can. Granted, it's not hard to charge up another super since you only need to hit about 10 shots, but you still want to take advantage of Bruce whenever you spawn him in. It will make more sense of how and why you need to be keeping him alive as we get later into the video. But okay, that's going to be it for Nita's super. Let's go ahead and talk about her gadgets, but the first one I want to talk about is going to be bear paws. After a 1-second delay, Nita's bear will stun enemies for half a second within a 3.33 tile radius around it, allowing Bruce to catch up to and attack them when this gadget is used. Now, in the current meta, you're not going to be seeing a whole ton of pro players, let alone players in general, running this gadget, but it's because it's only useful in a couple of niche scenarios. The time where I can see this gadget being useful is if you plan to throw Bruce as a bomb and then activate the gadget immediately. This way, you are giving the enemies basically no time to react and escape Bruce's range, so they are bound to get stunned from the gadget. Now, one of the reasons why this gadget is not really that good right now is because of the small radius around Bruce. The gadget theoretically can be very good, but it's only if you can actually manage to use it properly. Most of the time, enemies aren't dumb enough to stand super close to Bruce knowing that you might have the bear paws gadget, or they just don't want to take melee damage from Bruce in general. Now, another reason why this gadget is pretty weak at the moment is because of that 1-second delay right as you activate it. When you activate the gadget, you are still going to be giving the enemy time to escape Bruce's range if they are caught within it. This is like never going to happen unless the enemy has an extremely short attack range or Bruce miraculously manages to sneak up onto the enemy. Even with this, however, you need to be quick enough to use the gadget and pray the enemy doesn't escape during that 1-second delay. Now, for whatever reason, if you want to use bear paws, maybe it's the only gadget you have with Nita, I'd recommend using it whenever you have all of your ammo. If the Brawl gods allow you to use the gadget successfully and stun your target, you need ammo so you can burst them down. Since they'll only be stunned for a second, you need to deal as much damage as possible during that 1 second they can't move or do anything. It would just be a huge waste if you successfully use the gadget but have nothing to show for it. That's going to be for bear paws. Let's go and talk about Nita's second gadget, fox fur. Nita's bear will be shielded from attacks by 35% for 3 seconds. This is slightly more protective than most other shooting abilities, however it is applied to a moving spawnable and not the brawler itself. Now, most of the time when you're playing Nita, this is going to be the preferred gadget mostly because of how versatile it is. You can use this gadget when you want to try and keep Bruce alive for a little bit longer, right? Like, let's say when you're under heavy fire from the enemies, using the gadget and reducing all that damage will allow Bruce to protect you for a little bit longer. Now, let's say your entire team is dead and you guys need to push up together. Hey, activating that gadget and giving Bruce that shield may help you guys cause that additional pressure. Having the additional shield could be a great way to cause the enemies to waste their ammo and just be a more effective shield while you try to reclaim possession of the objective. Okay, that's going to be it for Nita's gadgets. Let's go and talk about her star powers, but the first one I want to talk about is going to be Hyper Bear. With this star power, this will allow Nita's bear to deal damage 2.5 times as fast as it usually would, and it decreases Bruce's attack delay from 0.6 seconds to 0.24 seconds. Now, the only time where you're really going to want to be using Hyper Bear is in game modes such as Heist. This star power is the main reason why Nita's best game mode is Heist. If she can throw her super onto the Heist safe and try to protect it as best as she can, the bear is going to be able to just shred down that safe in no time. Now, something that can even amplify the Hyper Bear star power even more is running the fox fur gadget. Just think about it. If you have a Hyper Bear Bruce going ham on the safe and then you give him a 3-second shield that reduces all damage by 35%, that is going to allow him to stay alive a little bit longer and deal more damage onto that safe. Now, while Bruce is doing his own thing onto the Heist safe and dealing a lot of damage, you need to take advantage of that time and try to charge up your next super. Since the enemies want to kill Bruce as fast as they can to prevent him from destroying the Heist safe, use that time to run towards the enemies to charge your super, but also to stop them from killing Bruce. If you can manage to charge up another super before Bruce ends up dying, then that's pretty much GG's right there. Now, save your pitchforks and torches now for this next one, but you can even use Hyper Bear with his bear paws gadget. The only reason I wouldn't recommend this build is because, as I stated earlier, the odds of you connecting with this gadget at higher trophy ranges or higher ranks in ranked is just very unlikely, as the players are way smarter. Now, the main reason why this star power has been only good for Heist pretty much ever since it's been in the game is because the Hyper Bear star power is useful for dealing with stationary targets. Since you need Bruce to get within range and use his melee attack to get value from this star power, the chances of you doing that on an enemy brawler is highly unlikely. However, when you play a game mode like Heist where the safe can't move and you need to destroy it as quickly as possible, it's like Nita was made for this game mode. But okay, that's it for Hyper Bear. Let's go to talk about our second star power, Bear With Me. This star power allows Nita to heal her bear and her bear to heal her when they attack enemy brawlers respectively. After Nita or Bruce attack an enemy brawler, small green effects fly out from them to her bear or Nita to heal them, and they can even be seen when Nita and Bruce are inside of a bush or Nita's invisible. Now, whenever you're playing a game mode that is not heist, you want to be using the Bear With Me star power because it's simply just more versatile. You need to be using this star power so you can constantly keep Bruce alive and allow him to tank shots for you and your team. This will frustrate the enemies because it will cause them to waste a lot of ammo and to play more passive since they don't want to get hit from you or from Bruce. Now, this star power is going to make dealing with tanks and assassins way easier because of their short attack ranges. Just like Hyper Bear, you need Bruce to use his melee attack to heal you up, but as long as you are hitting the enemies, you can still keep Bruce alive. So when being pressured by short range brawlers, the chances of Bruce and you hitting the enemy are much higher, thus allowing both of you to heal up and deal damage at the same time. Now, okay, let's be real here. The only reason why I'm doing this guide in the first place is because of Nita's brand new Hypercharge, Hyper Bearing. When activated, Nita's next bear will appear larger. The enlarged bear will walk 15% faster and have 20% more health. She also gains a 26% speed boost, a 25% damage boost, as well as a 5% shield boost. As you can imagine, running this Hypercharge and using it will make it 10 times harder to take down Bruce in Heist. If you can manage to use your Hypercharge plus the Fox Fur gadget and then use the Hyper Bear star power, you're going to be sending the enemies into an absolute panic. Something I did forget to mention before, but is still very important, is that you want to use Bruce when there are no enemies to defeat him. You want Bruce to obviously stay alive as long as possible, so try to use Bruce with the least amount of enemies around him as possible. Now, even if you don't want to play Nita in Heist, having the Hypercharge in general is going to make Nita a way better brawler. Just having a tankier Bruce that moves faster will cause the enemies to panic and cause immediate pressure in whatever game mode you are playing in. Also, remember to use the stat buffs that you can for yourself to keep Bruce alive and cycle up that next super. So the recommended build you guys gotta be using for Heist is running the Fox Fur gadget, the Hyper Bear star power, use the pet power gear because buffing up that Bruce Bear is gonna make him even tougher to deal with, and then run the damage gear to just help Nita deal even more damage. I mean, it's incredibly disgusting. And finally, run that Hypercharge because this guy would not be existing without it, so you gotta use it. Now, if you guys want to be playing any game mode besides Heist, I'd recommend just keeping the build the same, but just switch out the star power, so use Bear With Me with that same build. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that brawler guide, I highly recommend you go check out this brawler guide right here.